Marvel didn't start with the MCU, contrary to popular belief. Look, I can understand how people of a certain age would think that's the case, considering how much it's infiltrated pop culture since that cinematic universe kicked off. But I don't think people realize how big a deal it is that they got Wolverine back as a character to use going forward. Because Wolverine, next to Spider Man, is Marvel's most popular character. In fact, I would say their big three are Spider Man, Wolverine, and Hulk. And that's backed up by the fact that those rights were the ones purchased when Marvel was selling all that off. That's why you saw solo movies from Spidey, from Hulk, and from the X-Men before you ever saw Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, or others on screen, right? I mean, that's the simple business of it. Wolverine is a Mount Rushmore character. And people don't realize that because he's sort of been out of the limelight for a minute here, given Fox had the X-Men rights and given some of those Wolverine solo movies were really, really bad. But if you're a child of the 90s, like I am, you probably understand. X-Men 97 is such a big deal because it plays on the nostalgia of the X-Men animated series, which was huge. It was huge because the X-Men were huge. In fact, X-Men #1 is still the highest selling comic book of all time, and Wolverine was by far the most popular character from the X-Men. He went on, of course, to have a bunch of solo series and solo books and so on and so forth. But if you ever picked up something called Wizard Magazine, you would see that at the top of their most popular hero rankings, Wolverine was there consistently at #1, at numero uno. The genius of the MCU is that they were able to take some of their lesser characters, and I don't even want to say these are bottom tier characters because they were solid B characters. And in all the team ups, like the Infinity Gauntlet, you would see Captain America and Iron Man, and of course, like the Fantastic Four and other characters like that play prominent roles. But it was the casting of Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and the fact that his character really translated better to movies than it did on the pages that allowed them to then build that universe the way they did and the Avengers the way they did, because the X-Men were a bigger team than the Avengers. Now, I think that's part of the reason post-Endgame it's been a little tougher. One, when you put that much thought and effort into what you're doing, it's always going to be difficult to follow it up. But they also tried to build up the C and D characters post-Endgame, and that just wasn't going to work. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy in a way was a gift and a curse because it was so successful with characters that even hardcore comic fans weren't really familiar with, that it probably spoiled them into thinking they could do that eternally. And that just wasn't the case. But they got Spider-Man back in Captain America Civil War, and you saw how much that has done for them. And look, you saw how much Spider-Man continues to do, what he continues to do for Sony with those Spider-Verse movies and what the Miles Morales spin-off character can do, because he's such a relatable character, both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. It's why, objectively, Spider-Man may be the greatest superhero of all time. When you really think about it, he's relatable, he's got a cool suit, he's got great action sequences, all those things. But Wolverine was kind of that original anti-hero. And I can't wait to see Hulk and Wolverine square off on screen. You've got Incredible Hulk #181 right behind me, the first appearance of Wolverine. Of course, Hulk with those Lou Ferrigno shows back in the day. And the fact that he's just appealing to kids. Hulk Smash was also, one of Marvel's mainstay characters. If I was giving you the Mount Rushmore of superheroes, I would say it's fairly clearly to me, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, and Wolverine. And then up next, you got to go with Hulk. You got to go with Iron Man post-MCU, Captain America, same thing. And finally, Wonder Woman. Then I would go with Wonder Woman because I'd say Wonder Woman, represents obviously a different demographic. And to me, that is almost inarguable. Post-movies, maybe Black Panther and Thor round out the top 10, but I think that's almost an inarguable Mount Rushmore plus the next faces up. But now that Wolverine is next up for the MCU, you could see a lot of those critics get hit with a snit because I don't think people remember just how captivating a character Logan can be, because he was the driving force behind Marvel in the 90s, and he can be the battery that's back in their back now.